Nelson.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to come express our concerns. I'm Dr. William Nelson, a resident of Henrico County, a retired public health physician and a director who worked for 30 years to help make Virginia a healthy place to live. I'm not here today to talk about health issues. I'm here today as a volunteer for Citizens Climate Lobby, an international organization dedicated to building the political will for a livable planet. I'm here to add my voice to those asking our state officials to address climate change directly and with vigor. Specifically, I'm asking you to consider a straightforward carbon fee with 100% revenue return to households as the most simple and direct solution. Not long ago, with the first mention of a tax or a fee, people and politicians stopped listening. Too often, the decision was seen as save the environment versus save the economy. Typical responses were, no one will go for it, it will destroy the economy, and it will cost jobs. However, that's not a choice we need to make. A recent study by Regional Economic Modeling, Inc., a nationwide reputable economic modeling firm, showed that an annually increasing carbon fee, and this is important, 100% with 100% revenue return to households will actually create 2.8 million new jobs by 2015 and a $75 billion increase in the annual gross domestic product as compared with the option of doing nothing. In the process, CO2 emissions were projected to decrease by over 50% by 2035, and there were 13,000 fewer deaths per year due to heat, smog, and particulate matter. It does this by setting a price point on carbon that will harness the power of the free market, not regulation, and private enterprise to do what it does best: adapt, innovate, create, and find cost-effective alternatives. Returning all revenues to the households is critical, since it will protect 80% of the population against rising energy prices, including the people in the cooperatives who would be subject to higher prices. It will put a monthly dividend in their pocket and encourage them to be more efficient. Will prices go up? Yes, they will. They may peak by 2025. But then they will start to go down. In the meantime, the dividends will provide the citizens, the households, and the people of the Commonwealth and the country with relief. It's simple. It can have bipartisan support, and it requires no regulation. We've heard today comments about complexity, regulations, competitive, compliance, enforcement. Who will this? Who will do that? In fact, setting the proper price point on carbon with a fee and 100% revenue return to households will allow the free market to set that and achieve these goals without waiting for the regulatory process to take effect, which in my opinion will take too long. British Columbia enacted a carbon tax in 2008, right at the beginning of the recession. It helped, not hurt their economy, while it reduced emissions 17.4% in 4 years, while the rest of Canada emissions rose. Today, the carbon tax and rebate enjoys wide support in British Columbia, and in fact, in British Columbia, more rural areas receive preferential rebate and treatment as acknowledgement of the fact of the difficulty in providing power to rural areas. That is why such states as California and Massachusetts are considering a statewide carbon fee and dividend. Notable conservative economists such as Art Laffer and Greg Mankiw, economic advisor to George Bush, have endorsed the carbon tax. Individuals such as George Shultz and the CEOs of Exxon and FedEx have also endorsed it as a preferable opportunity to cap and trade and regulation. Ex-Secretary of the Treasury Hank Paulson has endorsed the carbon tax, stating that the climate problem must be addressed. He sees the climate bubble as the next great risk to this country, equal in magnitude and severity to the low loan bubble that crippled us all in 2008. My request to you today is to ask the EPA to include a state revenue-neutral, annually increasing carbon fee with 100% return to households as an option in meeting the upcoming EPA energy regulations. If included, it will allow Virginia to take advantage of a powerful economic tool that will create jobs and grow the economy while it reduces CO2 emissions and addresses the underlying cause of climate change before it's too late. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. I do have a summary of this to leave with me, and the complete REMI report is available at www.citizensclimatelobby.org. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephen Heinitz.
Good evening. My name is Steve Heinitz. I'm a Hanover County resident and Dominion Power customer. I'm thankful for the power I get every day at my home. I have a reliable source of power. But the reason I'm here tonight, I'm a Virginia resident, and I'm concerned about the quality of air that my family breathes on a daily basis and the effects of climate change. During my 50 years, I've witnessed that our winters are becoming warmer. My winter ski trips to Wintergreen are becoming more and more of a challenge. Thank goodness that we got man-made snow. Growing vegetables in my small backyard garden has also become more difficult each year with the lack of rain and the big swings in temperature. To me, the writing is on the wall. The weather is changing, and we need to take aggressive steps to minimize the effects of the excess carbon that is being pumped into our atmosphere at high rates by power plants. Now that we've identified the problem that burning fossil fuels contributes to a host of climate and health problems, we need to take action. I'm optimistic as a citizen of the Commonwealth of Virginia that we will take the necessary steps to move forward with implementing the EPA's Clean Power Plan to meet the future energy needs of Virginians. Virginia has already made progress in reducing carbon emissions by 17% in the last 8 years. Still, more work needs to be done, and time is of an essence in reaching a minimum goal of reduced carbon emissions by 30% by 2030. Fortunately, Virginia has a lot of options to choose from in our tool chest to reduce our carbon emissions. To me, the first and foremost thing is energy efficiency. It's the low-hanging fruit that needs to be fully implemented by our utilities to maximize the efficiency of their power generation stations. As a consumer, I'm willing to assist Dominion Power to better utilize the energy to my home in a more efficient manner. Whether it's something as simple as just changing light bulbs from the CFLs, LEDs, using Energy Star appliances, more insulation, as somebody else mentioned. Also, solar energy is, to me, another viable option that we're just not utilizing for energy production. And it's also proven that solar energy production can create a lot of good paying jobs. So it's a win-win. Solar technology is constantly improving, and we need to be open to using more solar energy as a primary source for energy production for homes, schools, and businesses. Offshore wind is also another viable energy option that needs to be aggressively utilized by Virginia's electric power generators in order to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. Virginia needs to seize this opportunity to develop a clean power plan that leads us to a future where we put our children's health and prosperity first over politics and greed. I want my two sons, who are 18 and 21, to be able to live and work in the Commonwealth of Virginia for the rest of their lives, being able to breathe clean air and live productive lives. I think this quote from Rachel Carson in her book, Silent Spring, clearly states the importance of the choices that we need to make today. We stand now where two roads diverge. The road that we have long been traveling is deceptively easy, a smooth superhighway on which we progress with great speed, but at its end lies the disaster. The other fork of the road, the one less traveled by offers our only chance to reach a destination that assures preservation of Earth. Let's develop a clean energy plan for Virginia that puts us on the right road that provides future generations with good health and prosperity. I encourage the DEQ to work with the EPA to develop an effective clean power plan for Virginia. And I thank you for the opportunity to share my views on this important matter.
Our next speaker is George Smith.
My name is George Smith, and I reside in Richmond. I belong to the Citizens Climate Lobby, which is an international organization that advocates for a carbon fee and dividend program that slowly raises the cost of fossil fuels by charging a carbon fee and dividend. Dividend program that slowly raises the cost of fossil fuels by charging a fee based on carbon content of coal, oil, and natural gas at the point of extraction, with 100% of the money being returned to each household to offset higher energy costs. That dividend will amount to between $200 and $400 per month per household. Higher energy costs will create a flood of new jobs as people will use their dividends to winterize their homes, install more efficient heating and cooling systems, install solar panels, etc. The increased demand for green products will also boost the economy. The exact opposite results predicted by the fossil fuel industry. This plan will also reduce air pollution that costs this economy billions of dollars annually for the treatment of asthma, emphysema, and other heart and lung diseases. So this plan boosts the economy, it boosts employment, it significantly cuts healthcare costs, and by the way, it reduces CO2 emissions that are heating up this planet at an alarming rate. This free market-based approach is endorsed by George Shultz and Henry Paulson, two Republican secretaries of the Treasury. It doesn't grow the government, it's revenue neutral, and it only requires the government to do two things that it is very good at: collecting money and writing checks. The administrative cost of this would be under 3%. This plan also has one more very important trick up its sleeve. By applying a tariff to all imported goods that are not produced with renewable energy, it will encourage all countries that want to export goods to the largest economy in the world to go green. This is the most important aspect of the carbon fee and dividend plan. And this is the only plan I know of that will encourage the world to stop burning fossil fuels. I want to make another point about fossil fuels. As energy consumers, we pay directly for the mining, the drilling, transportation, burning, and whatever pollution controls are used. That's the cost that we pay for the electricity, gasoline, fuel oil that we purchase. What we don't pay for directly is the air and water pollution, the inevitable toxic spills from trucks, trains, ships, pipeline leaks, coal ash spills, mountaintop renewal, and just plain dirty air. That is never figured into the cost, the fossil fuel cost equation. The offenders, if they are caught, might pay a fine, but do you think the fine ever actually covers the true cost of the damage and cleanup? Never. And now, on top of those hidden costs, we have global warming and ocean acidification that will be by far the most expensive result of burning fossil fuels. I did a Google search last night, and I learned that there has never been a toxic sunshine spill. If you're afraid of higher cost of solar and wind, well, We have always had a higher cost of energy from fossil fuels. We just haven't gotten that bill yet. All things considered, green energy is already a bargain.